Chris, hello, Happy New Year. This is the first time we've done a video in the new year, which seals it in time for everyone, doesn't it? Lovely.
Yeah, it does. I've missed them. I've missed these chats.
It's fun to talk games. That's what we learn if you listen to our 5-hour Game of the Year podcast. But we're not here to talk about games of last year, although technically this game isn't out yet.
No.
Although it is out in early access, which came out late last year. This is called Astroneer. You've written a preview, which you can, of course, go to godisgeek.com and read all about, but we're going to show you what this game is. And Chris, tell people what they're seeing, even though you don't actually know, because I captured the footage.
Well, basically, you're third person. You're an astronaut on this planet, which is procedurally generated, so every person that plays this game will start off on a completely different planet. And in kind of essence, it is very similar concept to No Man's Sky, but it just goes about it a little bit better.
Early reference.
Smarter. I had to get it in.
Well, I was going to ask you that later,
okay,
but
well,
let's just go for it now.
I mean, the kind of concept of going around this planet, and you've got this, it's like a vacuum which sucks up specific materials,
it's like,
elements.
Yeah, it's like a leaf blower to me, but obviously it doesn't blow leaves. No, I have to apologise. I've gone for the leaf blower thing, and I was going to say the opposite of that, which is exactly what you said. It's a vacuum. Sorry, Chris, continue.
So you collect. You can collect a whole range of things. So you can collect minerals. You can collect compounds to build stuff for a base, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a bit. Resin, which also helps build the kind of ports on your base that can connect more kind of structures. And then you can find copper, which is normally found at kind of crash sites of other spacecraft on the planet or satellites that have gone down. That helps build up other kind of structures to this base. So this base is where you start. You start off with a pod, which you can always go back to and save. And you can build up your kind of base to have a smelter, which helps to break down the ore and turn into actual items you can use, like copper and aluminium. You can eventually build.
I'll tell you what, I was going to say, I don't know if you found this as well. The base is actually, obviously, you go in there and you jump into save. It's like your little, like, whatever. What would you call it? It's not the Land Rover thing. It's like the lander thing. I don't know. But you can, unless there are other ways of doing this, but obviously the harsh weather conditions, sudden storms and that. Did you find yourself like burrowing under? Because I know you can just suck the ground out. You didn't just jump in the thingy and stay in
I
there,
learned the hard way. I mean, because one of the things you have to learn early on is you have to tether oxygen around this planet. Otherwise, so you start off you have no tutorial, which isn't a bad thing really. It's quite smart.
I just want to get this out of the way. We should have I did say it's early access, but I get the feeling it's very early access, because the tether thing is not. I don't mind it, but I do think it could be a little more cleanly done, perhaps.
I think so. I mean, it did take me over 2 hours to work out what I had to do, because you think you just have to run from your base to mine, and then to run back before your oxygen runs out, and your oxygen does run out fairly quickly. So,
and your energy, don't forget your energy.
Which you have to use your power for, which you can also find around the place. But once you find out that you can build these tethers, which are basically points in the ground that you can kind of put together and chain together as a kind of a way for you to keep breathing, really. So basically, going back to the storms, which is the original point, I kind of tethered for at least it's miles. It felt like miles. And this storm kicked off, and it was horrible, because without really knowing how to survive, whether I could survive, it killed me, and I went all the way back to the base, which was a long way back, let's say. But you encounter storms randomly throughout, and you can literally if you burrow into the ground or into a cave, it doesn't affect you. So again, that's another learning curve. But there's not a lot of kind of danger as yet. I mean, I didn't encounter any kind of aliens. The only kind of thing that was these toxic plants, which
I was just going to mention the plants.
I mean, I found them in a cave.
When you find them in the caves, do you find often they tend to be like there's research underneath them, and it's almost like, you got research. Oh, toxic gas, run away.
That's what I struggle with. A lot. I mean, I mean, but that, again, there's caves which you can burrow through the caves, so you can find a way around them. So once you kind of start to understand how this world works, it does get a bit easier. But you can spend hours with it. Just the kind of music's very soothing, and just the way it's put together at such an early stage is really interesting. I'm very excited to see how they get rid of the few bugs. I mean, obviously, we said it is pre-alpha. It's very early on in its life cycle, and there's a lot of lag. I found a lot of lag when a lot of things were happening. But
even some of the stuff just it's almost too simplified. Like to get research, so you're under the caves, aren't you? And you like say you find some research, so you have to literally click because I'll come to that. Hang on, that sounds like I've just lost my mind, but I'll come back to that point in a second. I was going to make in my head that you guys didn't hear, but the research you actually have to click, and as you move, you're just dragging it, and then you like put it near the entrance to the cave. But then you go back, click the other piece you found, and there's no easy way to take. Well, there is, because you can get vehicles which you can literally put the research on and drive back. But early game, when you're just sort of foraging, I found it a little, again, it's a bit like the tethering. Like there feels like it's certainly a simple way to do it, but it actually feels like a not quite as an intuitive way of doing things.
No.
But what I was going to ask you is, because this is obviously Steam, Windows Store, also Xbox preview program, and I know you're playing on the what do we call it now? The unified Windows platform. So the code you redeemed gave you access to the Windows 10 Store version and the Xbox version. Have you tried the Xbox version out of interest?
I have tried the Xbox version, yeah.
Because I'm playing on Steam, and I can't imagine the current version working terrifically on an Xbox One, does it? I mean,
it doesn't. It's not too bad, to be honest. Obviously, Steam's a lot.
I mean, it's quite a simple game at the moment.
It's very simple, yeah. But it is. I mean, it works pretty well on Xbox. I would say if you do have PC, use it via Steam. But
is that for any particular? I mean, because like,
it's just. I find it easier to control.
It's not like any less smooth or any buggier or anything on Xbox. It's just.
Not really, no. It's more the controls. It's kind of it is slightly awkward when you're trying to.
I mean, it feels like a mouse and keyboard game to me. Like the fact you can craft a. Oh God, Chris, it's too early in the year. Like my brain's died. You know, you can craft like a solar panel, and then once you've crafted it, you can literally pop that on your suit's backpack, so that you're constantly in the daylight gaining energy. Power. You know, and
yeah. And you can do that for your base as well. That's another thing.
Yeah, that's right. You can
just dead smart.
Yeah,
you just use your common sense.
But that's very true. Actually, it does feel like it. But that stuff all sort of feels. But then again, I was going to say what I would compare. This isn't comparing the games. This is just comparing the UI almost. Is like. Reminds me a bit of Diablo in that it feels like a game designed for mouse and keyboard. Only,
definitely.
You're saying it sounds okay on Xbox then?
It's okay. It works fine on Xbox, but as I say, the controls are much more suited to a PC, because when you kind of picking up items off the ground and trying to put them in your backpack, it's very awkward to do so. Or whether you're trying to take something off your backpack and powering kind of your station, it's really difficult to maneuver. So I would say that's, for me, the controls on a PC are much better. But it's not horrific on Xbox at all. And maybe that might be something they might iron out, because one of the things I want to mention is the community for this, because they are clearly taking feedback from their community, and there's a big presence online. Because I'm not going to lie, there were certain things which I kind of couldn't quite grasp. So
I mean, we haven't even touched on the online, and I don't know how that works. I've just seen people appear.
Exactly, yeah.
And I don't know. There's like gesturing and like, you know, there doesn't seem to be any combat, but you can certainly cooperate. And again, I mean, literally, when you press a button, it brings up the options. Sorry, the controls, and it's just one splash screen of like, it looks totally like a demo.
Yeah.
But this again. Pre-alpha. I was going to ask you, Chris, and this is like a nice way, really, of closing this chat out. Is with games like in early access, you know, it's kind of like, you know, this is a video preview, if you like, of what will eventually. And because this is the thing, I think this game could be something genuinely special. That's how it feels right now. So it's like one of these games. Do you think we'll maybe come back and have another chat in 3-6 months and do it again? I mean, what I'm asking you, Chris, is. Why does this feel more fun than No Man's Sky now? Already?
I've asked myself this question. I don't know. I think the fact they've come out and they've said this is the beginning, this is early access, and it already feels like so much more of a thought out game than No Man's Sky did when it was released as a full game. It just makes you think the possibilities are endless. They're not lying. I don't want to say they're lying. They're not kind of perceiving it as something that it isn't. They're saying it's a pre-alpha game. There's lots of work to do. We want your feedback to make this the best it can be, and that's why I think the way they've gone about it makes it seem like it could be something really special, because they're already adding to it and changing it and trying to iron out anything. And at this present moment in time, it's a great fun game, and you spend hours with it. I spent at least 2 or 3 hours just looking for some copper, which at the time I didn't know how to find it.
Yeah.
And then I came across this satellite, which was miles away from my base, and I happened to just come across it, pick it up, and I was well happy with it. And it took me like another 10 minutes to walk back to my thing, but I don't know, it just feels really special, and I just like it. I just really like it.
I mean, it looks great as well. That helps. But,
yeah.
Chris, that is Astroneer for now. We hopefully will come back and talk about this again, even if it's just like a major update. Because, again, they could do so much. Like, I know it's a sandbox game, but so's The Long Dark, and they're adding a story mode, and the idea of a story in this game could be cool. But Astroneer is on Steam. It's £15.74 or $19.99 if you're an American viewer. Or you can just buy the Astroneer plus soundtrack is $19.94. That's Astroneer. I like it. I know you like it. You can go read more of Chris's words or follow Chris at First Avenger 83. Christ, is that right? We really are out of practice. Like, never take time off. It's the killer. Chris, thank you for your time. Let's go play some more gorgeous looking space adventure-y type No Man's Sky not games that are good. That's a brilliant ending. I'm keeping that in. Thanks, Chris. Bye bye.